SwayamPrabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Good morning viewers, this is Dr. Ashwini Sival and I am with another interesting lecture in this series called Law, Science and Technology. Today's lecture is on advanced robotics and specifically we will focus on the human rights of robots. My dear viewers, we have been discussing a lot of interesting issues about the technological developments, and we have also been seeing the legal interventions wherever needed in the technological advancements and technological developments. Today's lecture shall focus on the robotics, or you may say the advanced robotics, and specifically the human rights and some other legal issues involved so far as the robots are concerned or their human rights are concerned. Well viewers, as you all know that human right is something which is intrinsic with the human, or which is an inherent right of a human or to his life, and there are a lot of international developments or international instruments which reinforce the human right, and this right comes to you with the existence of you in the world, right, or with the existence of the being in the world. This right basically empowers you of no discrimination on the basis of sect, caste, religion, geography or territory, or for that matter any other such taboo. So we will discuss whether robots can have the human rights or not, because of late there have been lot of discussion that robots should also be given some human rights, and this discourse relating to the human rights of the robots began when these days we see that there are different kinds of robots which serve different purposes in the society. Some do the domestic chores, some are used in the military for combat purposes, some robots are used for some surgeries or some medicinal discourses. So there are various ways and different ways in which robots or these new artificial intelligent beings are being used. So we have to see, do they have any kind of human rights, and if yes, whether it is ethical to confer human right to robots or not. And we will also see in today's lecture whether there should be any kind of human right formally accorded to the robots, and what kind of implications it will occur, it will bring, or you may say incur on the society. So let us begin this lecture. I will show you some of the things that I am going to cover in the preliminary half an hour, and then we will see the issues and the challenges. The structure of the lecture is as follows: that we will talk about the background and introduction of this concept, and you will also see the evolution of the robotics, and then types of robots, some ethical considerations of the robots, then the case for robot rights, specifically human rights, and the challenges and opposition. So here we will focus on the discourses and different opinions coming from different jurists and theorists, right, and the existing legal framework in relation to it, whether specifically whether in India do we have any such legal framework, or even for that matter international framework pertaining to the human rights of the robots. Then we will see what can be proposed as a right to the robots. I mean should not necessarily be the human rights, but some sort of rights should be conferred to the robots, and but what will be they, we will discuss it, and then what's the impact on the society and the future outlook, and some landmark judgments and some readings I will cover in today's discussion. Now coming to the introduction, as I told you that human rights has a great significance in society, and human rights as I told you that they are the rights which are inherent, which come by the birth of a person or by his very existence in the world, and these rights basically encompasses your dignity, your liberty, your freedom, etc. The definition is not exhaustive, it is inclusive. There may be several things which will fall under the ambit of human rights, but these rights are those rights which are intrinsic, which are inherent, not to be conferred to you by anyone, but definitely they are to be protected by some legal framework, because in the international arena it has been seen that human rights are violated very often, specifically when it is a war going on between two nations, or when there are no good relations being kept by two nations, or sometimes the nation states do indulge in some infiltrations, etc., or they capture the soldiers during the war times. So human rights are being violated. Even otherwise we see the rampant violation of human rights, but today's discussion focuses on the human rights of the robots, which is very interesting and fascinating a field, because as I told you at the outset that lot of times many human rights advocates are advocating for the rights, specifically human rights of robots, because these robots are used, their labor hours are not set, their working culture is not set like humans, their boundaries are not confined so far as their work is concerned. So in that context it is necessary that they should also have some rights. Their labor hours, their limitations, their duties, their rights should be fastened or fixed, as well as at times it has been seen that nowadays robots are being used as sex commodities or sex robots, even relationship robots. So how much they are exploited sexually, and to what extent they can be exploited sexually, these raise very interesting and very challenging questions in front of the legal fraternity as well as scientific community. So we need to discuss all of these. So there is a lot of significance of the human rights in the society, and there is a discourse going on whether these rights can be extended to the artificial entities like robots. So as I explained just now, that they may be extended to the robots, or should be extended to the robots, given the plight of the robots at times, as a sex robot or a pleasure robot, or as a relationship robot where emotional and physical involvement of a robot lies, or his intellect lies, and so on and so forth. So one side of the proponents of the theory of human rights of robots, they advocate for their rights because they say that they are emotional beings like a human being, though commanded and instructed by the humans, made by the humans, but they at times also feel emotional, and their physical exploitation is done by the humans. So they are also entitled to the human rights, or they should be entitled for the human rights, and that is why the human rights which exist for the humans should also extend to the robots, according to some of them. But there are ethical considerations involved, which includes the issues like they are ontologically different than the humans. Their existence on earth is not natural like the humans. They have been made by the humans, they are laden with the instructions by the humans, they do not have their own acumen, or you may say they do not have their own intellect. They are someone who are commanded or instructed by the humans strictly, or in a strict sense. So they do not or should not be accorded with the human rights, and lot of other ethical considerations which arise we will discuss in this lecture. So isn't it like we are kind of training AI to mimic us, because if the humans will tomorrow face litigation from the robots regarding the violation of their human rights, so will not it be very challenging for the courts to decide as to whose right to be upholded and whose right is to be negated in that context. So the AI or its training should not be such where it starts imitating the human, but ordinarily AI imitates the human, and we all know that it is the set of instructions which human provide to the AI which a machine follows, even a robot follows, because robot is also an artificial intelligent machine made by the humans only. Then there are a couple of issues which I have listed at the very outset for you to look at on your screen. Isn't it too early to discuss about human rights of the robots, because we do not see much robots in India, we do not see use of the robots much in Indian scenario. We have some developed countries where robots are being used for domestic chores like cleaning the houses, or for surgeries etc. in the hospitals, for combat in the army, for some assembling of the devices etc., or cars or automobiles in the assembly units, but not in India necessarily. So isn't it too early for Indian scenario to talk about the rights or human rights of the robots? Well, these are some of the perplexing questions which I am just posing to you, or you may say that I am putting across to you. So in this scenario, do we really need AI systems that look, think and act like humans? And well, so far as this question is concerned, that do we really need AI systems that look, think and act like humans, like robots? So for that we have the answer in the two classifications, that is empirical and philosophical. When it comes to empirical, so we all know that humans do love to create new things, and specifically those things that look like us or look like humans, and that do what we can and can substitute us. So it is a tendency of us, or our tendency, or humans tendency, to create such machines or such tools or such things which do replicate us, or which do behave like us, or can substitute us. Like for domestic chores, we all know that the purpose of making such robots like a cleaning robot or a vacuum cleaning robot is to substitute us, or similar, or so is the case with a robot which is used in a patent office for doing the patent search, because it replaces the patent examiner, or so is the case with the robot which does the surgery or performs the surgery, right, which replaces the doctor. So humans are having the tendency to create such things which do substitute us, or which can replace us, right, not actually displace us, but just replace us. So practically our world revolves and is designed for humans, because we are the ones who have been created by some supreme power, which exist in an abstract sense, which we don't see, which we don't know. But when it comes to robots, they have been created by the individual, or a particular a scientist, or a person, or an engineer, right. So philosophically, if we want any robot or a AI to communicate with us effectively, it must perceive and feel things the way we feel and perceive. AI must share our subjective experience. So our tendency is that any machine that we will create, it must behave like us, it must perceive like us, or feel like us. But what if it starts feeling or behaving beyond what we perceive and what we feel? Or what if it starts behaving in such a way where its ramifications may be multifarious, or unknown to the human, or unknown to the mankind? So in those contexts, some philosophical and philosophers and legal scholars have explored significant aspects of the moral and legal status of robots, with some advocating for giving robots their rights. So when it comes to legal scholars, I haven't come across many legal scholars who are ready to confer the rights to the robots, or who are in favor of conferring the rights to the robots. But philosophers specifically are more interested in conferring such rights to the robots, or to the machines, right, and to these non-natural entities such as robots. Well, we all know that in the legal system, humans or persons, whether he or she or even third gender or the transgenders or bisexuals, etc., they find a place, or they are the juristic personalities. But when it comes to robots, what kind of a juristic personality a robot will hold, or a robot will possess, or a machine will hold, or a machine will possess, this is something difficult to answer. But we know that in the legal system or in the legal framework, corporations, which are also the known natural entities, are considered people, and even they assume some constitutional rights. In addition, humans are not the only species with moral and legal status. So corporations have their legal status, other such entities have their legal status, like non-natural entities I am talking about. And in most developing societies, moral and legal considerations preclude researchers from gratuitously using animals for lab experiments. So we all know that in developed countries, or even in the developing countries nowadays, the laws allow them to use, and sometimes not to use, the animals for the experimentations on ethical considerations or on ethical issues. So when an animal can find existence, or can find a legal place or a legal existence, and when a non-natural entity or a corporation or a body corporate, they can find a legal existence or a legal recognition, why can't a robot also, or machines also can have the legal recognition? So it sounds quite fascinating, and it sounds somewhat clinching as well, or promising as well, that if a machine or if a non-natural entity is conferred or accorded a legal status, why can't a robot or a machine can also be accorded a legal status, right? So when it comes to the background, well, we know that AI, computer science, robotics, they are very much there with us, and they are at a very advanced stage these days. And I have delivered a lecture on AI as well, wherein you may delve deeper into the evolution of the AI, or legal aspects relating to AI. So when it comes to the background, we know within the next few decades, the advent of artificial intelligence and other machines will going to become autonomous, which we are worried about, because we have been listening this for a long now, that the machines like artificial intelligence embedded machines, or such other machines which have some sort of commands or instructions coded, or you may say made by the men or humans, basically, they are going to acquire a lot of capabilities which we have not commanded them, or which we have not instructed to them, and which are not even going to be comparable with the humans. So this is a speculation which we have been hearing, and we have witnessed also that machines have started learning on their own, and that is why there is a science machine learning that is being studied, and which is being brainstormed. So what if robots become so intelligent tomorrow, more smarter and even more smarter than the humans? Will this pose a problem, and will not this development present difficult questions regarding their moral and legal status, as well as their moral and legal rights, regardless of their artificial nature? Because they are going to think on their own, they are going to have their own intellect, or their own expression of their intellect. So in that scenario, or with those unimaginable developments over a decade, or within the decades, will not they start challenging moral and legal rights that they should have, or they must have? So we have numerous excellent publications which have considered these hot and emerging issues, which I would like to discuss cursorily, not in great detail, because it is not possible to go to the each and every such scholarly work and discuss it. But some of those scholarly works which cover these aspects, specifically the contestation relating to the moral and legal rights by the robots in future. Let us have such articles or such scholarly works quickly. So, when it comes to artificial intelligent robots, should not be they entitled to something similar to humans, like human rights, once they reach a certain level of sophistication, and we know that they are going to reach that sophistication very soon, or this is speculation, not very far-fetched speculation, and in that scenario or at that point of time, it shall be difficult to answer this. So, it is necessary that such brainstorming by the humans should start or should take place at as early as possible, or at the earliest, so that we may have some framework to cater to those issues which are kind of known and speculated by the people. So, these machines are going to acquire consciousness, self-awareness and sentience that human beings will be forced to recognize in the future, including their human rights, because once they will acquire those superhuman capabilities or humanly capabilities, they will start asserting their moral and legal rights, and in that context they will start asserting even their human rights, right. So, when it comes to machines, it is important to distinguish between artificial narrow intelligence, which can already be attributed to machines which are excellent at one particular task, such as playing chess, and artificial general intelligence, which can be considered the very foundation of any human like machine, since it would give such a machine the capability to become an intelligent person who understands and learns like human beings. At this moment, no AGI machines exist, and whether they can ever exist will remain a matter of debate. But when machine with the narrow intelligence can exist, why can't a machine with the general intelligence will come up tomorrow, specifically in the times when we are seeing generative AI, machine learning and what not. So, the debate is very significant to take place when it comes to general AI or general intelligence machine to come in the future, which will do multiple things like humans, and they will have all capabilities which the humans have. So, AI basically, as I told you that I have discussed in another lecture of mine, which you may refer for more details, but for your general idea in this lecture about AI, let me tell you, it is the ability of a digital computer or computer controlled robot to perform tasks commonly associated with intelligent beings. The term is frequently applied to the project of developing systems endowed with the intellectual processes characteristic of humans, such as the ability to reason, discover meaning, generalize or learn from past experience. In other words, AI should be at some future point the artificial analog of human intelligence. Admittedly, current AI systems, despite their extraordinary capabilities in achieving complex tasks, are still far away from resembling human intelligence. However, Ray Kurzweil, well known futurist and Google's director of engineering since 2012, believes that machines will not just match, but will even supersede human intelligence within this century. So, futurists like Ray Kurzweil, who have propounded and who have speculated that within this century machines will not just acquire the equivalent intelligence of humans, rather it will gonna supersede the human intelligence within this century. So, given that kind of a speculation and given the advancement right now, it seems that there is a strong or stringent or strenuous requirement of brainstorming about these issues, and there will not, the day is not far away when the machines become smarter than humans, and that time shall be called the time of technological singularity, where machines will have equal amount or even more intelligence and sentience than the humans. So, that technological singularity is going to arrive within this century as per some of the jurists or as per some of the futurists. Well, on the other hand, when it comes to human rights, dear friends, human rights are basically described as universal rights which a person gets by his or her birth, and it is something which is irrespective of anyone's recognition. You get it even there exists a law which confers it to you or not. Even if there is no law which confers any such right to you, you have a human right, and that is the whole idea behind the human rights, which come with the human existence, and no state or its agency is required to accord it to you or confer it to you. The function of legal human right is of utmost importance, since they reinforce the demand of moral human rights with respect to all countries that have signed the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights, which gives teeth to universal moral claims and human rights. So those countries which have signed the UDHR, they have to necessarily protect and safeguard the human rights of the people, and the corollary of it is that they are supposed to protect their dignity, their liberty, their freedom, their expressions, etc., right, irrespective of the state or caste or religion or sect or nation. So one of the most important questions in moral and legal philosophy concerns the issue of who is considered a proper member of our moral and legal community. Well, only humans are those who claim or assert that they should be considered the member of the human community or legal or moral community, not even the animals. But we have seen it that courts at times have recognized the animals' rights, and animals have been considered the part of this community or this legal community. So the idea that all human beings should enjoy the full spectrum of human rights has been questioned by many philosophers, who argue that rights and duties should rather concern persons and not human beings as such. Some contemporary discussions with respect to the application of human rights even attempt to include animals and the environment as bearers of human rights. So I told you that even animals are at times considered as a part of this legal community. Against this backdrop, one could legitimately ask whether artificial intelligent robots might be worthy of protection under human rights provisions as well, like animals or not. When animals, when non-natural entities, when corporations, all can have a legal a place in the legal spectrum, why can't robots have a place in the legal spectrum, right? So this makes it interesting, and this makes it very very fascinating that the discourse takes us to a point where it becomes very difficult to outrightly deny any right or human right to robots, when juristic personalities can be accorded to the corporates, to the non-natural entities, to the animals. Why can't it be accorded to the robots as well? So in view of the current technological developments with respect to AI, several well-known scholars such as Gunkel and Gellers have argued that once we see the advent of artificial intelligent robots, they are entitled to something that could be called robot rights. These robot rights might be very similar, if not indeed almost identical to human rights. So scholars have started arguing and pitching for the rights of the robots. They have not named it human rights in this case. In this instance, Gunkel and Giller, they both have asked for the intelligent robot rights, or you may say they have asked for the artificial intelligent robots and their robot rights, not the human rights. But tomorrow a discourse may start about the rights which may extend to human rights as well. When well, dear viewers, there is another interesting discussion that I came across, whether they have a rights or they have a rights, as written on your screen. Well, I came across Chinese belief system where Confucianism focuses on the social value of achieving harmony, and individuals are made distinctively human by their ability to conceive of interest not purely in terms of personal self interest, but in terms that include a relational and a communal self. This in turn requires a unique perspective on rights, with people enhancing themselves morally by participating in proper rituals. So, well, I want to say that, and this belief basically leads us to the point that humans believe in not just only rights, rather they believe in participating in proper rituals, rites, and they are morally bound, and they have made themselves morally bound. And this ancient Chinese belief system, it focuses or emphasizes on social value of achieving harmony, and it also says that in a society people learn to conceive, they learn to perceive or conceive the interest of others, not just their self interest, right. So, in such a scenario, the Confucian alternative of assigning rights or what is called role obligations to robots is more appropriate than giving robot some rights. So, this takes me to, or this leads us or guides us to a point where it can be said that it shall be better if we, instead of conferring right, a moral or a legal right to a robot, will cast a some you may say that obligation or role obligation on a robot instead of a right. The concept of right is often adversarial and competitive, but concept of moral obligation is not adversarial or is not competitive, and there shall be no competition between humans and robots, which may become a concern tomorrow if we will confer them the similar kind of rights as conferred to the humans. But when we will just confer them with the the role obligation or right, that is RITE, or a ritual, then there shall be no competition. And assigning these role obligations to robots, it encourages teamwork, which triggers an understanding that fulfilling those obligations should be done harmoniously. Artificial intelligence imitates human intelligence. So, for robots to develop as rights bearers, they must be powered by a type of AI that can imitate humans, or their capacity to recognize and execute team activities, and a machine can learn that ability in various ways. Well, this is something not very visceral, it is in abstract sense that such scenario may come tomorrow, but when it comes to assigning them the moral obligations or moral roles, I think that it is not that easy, because when they will have or acquire the capability of a human, then they will not satisfy only with the moral obligations or with the boundations, they will rather assert for their legal rights and moral rights, or even their human rights. So, this is one set of idea as discussed in the previous slide, which we have to act as a good alternative to the right system, because the right system is adversarial and is competitive, but the obligation or role obligation system is not adversarial or competitive, right. So, when it comes to conceptual framework, viewers, Lent Miller, affiliated with the Department of Philosophy at the University of Twente in the Netherlands, he provides a comprehensive treatment of the vital question whether automata, that is robots, that may match or even supersede human capabilities should enjoy human rights as well. He argues that human beings are not obligated to grant robots human rights. His main line of argumentation is based on the claim that humans and robots are ontologically different. Well, that is correct, that they are ontologically different, and humans are not obligated to grant the rights to the robots, and they tomorrow may supersede the capabilities and enjoy, or will aim to or strive to enjoy human like rights and human rights as well. But they are totally different beings, or you may say humans are beings but robots are not beings. So, they are totally different entities, or you may say they are ontologically different. So, Miller rejects two main arguments in support of human rights for robots, and he goes on to say that the idea that moral progress and the expanding moral circle could eventually justify human rights for robots, on the basis he rejects is that robots are ontologically different, since they have been constructed by humans for a particular purpose, and the so called ontological difference prevents the ascription of human rights even to super intelligent robots who might revolt against human beings if they were denied such rights. So, since their ontological evolution is different, or they are ontologically different, the super intelligent robots, when they will revolt tomorrow that they need their rights, they should not be given their rights, because we should not expend these rights to the robots in any case, because of the difference, because of the ontological difference as suggested by Miller here. Humans by contrast may have simply come into existence without having to have had any constructors build them, or without any given purpose. But on the contrary, the automata or the robots, they have been constructed with a purpose, and they have either the narrow purpose, or narrow intelligence purpose, or a general intelligence purpose. Robots have not been made yet, but since they have not been, they have not come into the existence on their own, they haven't come to the existence, or they have not been come to the earth like the humans, right, because humans were made without no purpose, they were not constructed or built by anybody. On the contrary, these robots have been made, or have been desired to do some acts, specifically some acts. So, ontological differences are there. Then there is another professor at the Faculty of Law of T2 University in Romania, which says, or propounds a brief overview of the selected number of soft law documents. He has collated those soft law documents adopted at the international level concerning the standardization of legal and ethical issues surrounding human rights and robotics, and he generally argues for a human centered approach that respects the fundamental rights of individuals and the human values that can be achieved through more systematic regulation. His main idea is that human rights are more important than robot rights by virtue of the unique inalienable moral status of human beings. Well, this gentleman Nicole has propounded, or you may say has collated the selected number of soft laws. So, it is interesting to note that there are soft laws which exist on the human rights or on robotics at the international level, and there has been going on the attempt to standardize legal and ethical issues regarding the human rights of the robots, and humans themselves have done it. So, tomorrow if the robots will ask for it, why will they deny it to them? But these are just soft laws, these are not the laws which are you may say that implemented, or which are in operation, or which are to be necessarily followed or complied with. These are the soft laws wherein the discourses or brainstorming pertaining to it has started already. Well, he examines the role of various code of ethics, guidelines, studies and rules in the context of the protection of individual human rights against the background of smart technologies, and while stressing the great importance of existing human right documents, he argues that more comprehensive regulation regarding the activities and decisions of robots is required, especially when they are not under the direct control of human beings. There currently exists no officially recognized universal policy that addresses these issues. He has also summed up by saying that at this juncture there does not exist a official universal policy that addresses these issues which we are discussing right now, but there are certain soft laws. Well, even if robots match or surpass human capabilities, according to him, human rights should only consider human beings, and accordingly he turns on discussing some elements of human rights. Well, I will not go into more details what he has said, but what we have understood by his idea of collating these soft laws, and by his idea of discussing that there exists no universal policy on this aspect. Well, Professor Robert, School of Law at Indiana University, examines the capacities of advanced robots that deserve or entitled to typical constitutional rights. Well, now see how interesting this field has become, that one of the scholars discussed here is focusing on collating those laws which suggest that there exist such soft laws, or which takes us to the point that the humans have already started discussing relating to their rights, etc. On the other hand, there exists a philosopher or a scholar at the Indiana University who says, or whose work basically revolves around identifying the capabilities of advanced robots which may deserve typical constitutional rights, right. His main conclusion is that no combination of consciousness, self consciousness and sentience is in general sufficient to qualify a being for constitutional right, although he acknowledges that the mentioned capacities are necessary for holding constitutional rights. Moreover, he argues that the possession of objective and subjective interest is necessary. Well, it is something very interesting, viewers, that the scholars across different jurisdictions have not just started talking about the rights or discourse about the rights of humans, but they are even trying to identify the particular capacities of the advanced robots which may be given or conferred the constitutional rights. Not all such capabilities of the robots might be entitled, but some of the capabilities might be entitled for such constitutional rights. But when he concluded this philosophy, he says that no combination of consciousness or self consciousness is in general sufficient to qualify a being for constitutional rights, although he acknowledged that the mentioned capacities are necessary for holding constitutional rights. So, every such creation of a human who has some consciousness, who has some sentience, may have a constitutional right, or this particular feature may get a constitutional right, but not necessarily, or you may say that merely on the basis of this consciousness the constitutional right may not be accorded, but this is a possibility that a constitutional right may be accorded on some combination of consciousness or some combination of features of a particular machine. He further argues that even if we fully understand what consciousness, self consciousness and sentience are, no application of these criteria would be sufficient to grant advanced robotics constitutional rights. Thus, there is no need according to right to determine what exactly consciousness requires. To be entitled to constitutional rights, one must have objective and subjective interest, as discussed earlier. So, there, after having discussed these philosophers, some key concerns which are arising to our mind or should arise to the viewers or mind, or to me, are backed by specifically in context of the human rights, they are backed by some of the universal or international developments. The idea that robots are entitled to the very same rights mentioned in the UDHR at first sight somewhat far-fetched, given that some of the rights are particularly framed for the special needs of human persons, but ultimately this judgment depends on how human the advanced robots are. Will they be able to have a human partner to start a family? Humans can create humans. Can a robot have a family and start, can a robot have a partner and can start a family? So, these are some of the key concerns when it comes to according human rights to the robots, because their ontological existence is different totally vis-a-vis to the humans, and they are being made by the humans for some specific purposes. So there will not arise a time when they will have a partner and they can start their own family. Do they need to rest and enjoy recreation and entertainment? Well, another interesting issue which indicates or directs us towards ethical consideration, that do they also have the entertainment right, or should they also have the entertainment and resting right or a recreation right like the humans? We also get a weekend to enjoy with the family, we also get leisure time, but should not the robots be given the same leisure time to spend with their loved ones or to spend with their family members, and should not they have the entertainment rights, etc.? Should they be able to refuse forced labor if they have been developed for a particular task, and if they are doing that task 24/7? So isn't it unethical that they are forced to do labor which is incessant, which is non-stoppable? So they must also get some respite, and they must also have a right to refuse a forced labor. These and some related questions become quite relevant. Should we see the advent of highly sophisticated robots that may either match or surpass human capabilities? In this case, they would seem to have grown from mindless tools to bearers of universal moral and legal rights. Well, this is true that earlier they used to be mindless tools as instructed by the humans. They used to follow the path, or they used to follow the instructions, but now at the advancement or at this level of advancement where they have started learning, acquiring knowledge on their own, they are starting having emotions as well. They have started having social interaction premised on their own emotional needs as well, which we have seen or the world has witnessed. So when it comes to the idea of human rights, the idea of acknowledging human right to the machines or to the robots at some future point maybe to entitle them with the dignity, or it directly something which is related to the view that robots are vulnerable like humans, and therefore they require protection from abuse or misuse by human beings. For example, as sex robots, they are exploited and may be exploited. So should not they be endowed with the relevant abilities, or with the relevant rights in case of suppression of their physique, or in say case of suppression of their emotional well-being? So protection from harm has been the negative human right. We all know negative human right require that no other party may abuse or coerce the holder of the negative human right. Examples of negative human rights include freedom from violence, the right to life, and freedom from slavery. The robots should not be forced to work, the robots should not be destroyed, and we know we all have seen that video where that a robot was destroyed by the maker of the robot. So the robot, while being dismantled, urged for the survival, and I do not know whether it is just something choreographed, but that resonates into humans the idea of conferring some right, or that resonates to what, as if the human is being destroyed or killed. So the killing of a human cannot be definitely related or equated with the destruction of a robot or a machine, but when a machine requests for survival to the maker and the maker destroys it, so should not the destruction be stopped by some set of laws or some set of rules, right? And generally speaking, if robots become entitled to human rights, then this designation would have far reaching implications for our sophisticated, or for our socio-political relations and our moral behavior towards robots. Well, when it comes to types of robots, as I have already explained it to you, the robots may be classified on the basis of their function and autonomy. So robots do several they dispense or do several functions, and when it comes to autonomy, they have at times some autonomy, or sometimes they don't have autonomy. So robots in different fields, like when it comes to function in the industrial setup, or for the industrial purposes, for services, for domestic purposes, etc., robots are used and are made, and they are given autonomy, they are not given autonomy. It is something depends largely on the maker of a robot. But in the age in which we are living right now, where machines are acquiring the knowledge and they have started learning on their own, it may be said that they may demand autonomy tomorrow. But when it comes to functions, they are used in industries for manufacturing, they are used for domestic cores, etc. There are certain ethical considerations arising from the interaction between humans and robots, and there are concerns relating to autonomy, decision making and accountability. Well, when it comes to autonomy, decision making and accountability, let me explain it a bit. The robots, if given autonomy, then they must also be held accountable, and it shall be a scenario analogous to a situation where a person commits a crime and the person is sent behind the bars by the courts of law, by giving him a formal trial or a formal due process. But will the same be followed in the case of the robots if they happen to commit a crime? If a robot kills a human, or accident is caused by a robot, should not the robot be tried or held accountable like any other individual or a human who while riding a car, or while driving a car or riding a bike, kills another human on road, or on in a car or by a car? So that situation is analogous. So that decision making, accountability, autonomy are some of the concerns when it comes to ethical considerations. So when they are accorded with the rights, they must also be held accountable for something. And in this scenario, when tomorrow the robots will start enjoying their rights or given their rights, there will occur potential risks like job displacement and privacy infringement. So humans are also worried about it, because the machines have already replaced the humans to a very great extent in various sectors or in various segments, and day is not far away when we will start fearing the displacement altogether and our privacy infringement by the robots. Our own household machines, they will start capturing or they will start viewing on us, which is a crime, but who will hold them accountable if they will start doing so. So when it comes to robot rights, it is a good case to advocate for the robot rights or for the extension of rights to the robots, but it must not be forgotten that their accountability is also equally important, or fastening their accountability is equally important. And moreover, when it comes to extension of the rights to them, it must also not be forgotten that tomorrow they will have their own autonomy if we will give them the rights, and that autonomy may be unfettered autonomy, right. So the emphasis should be on the importance of treating robots ethically and responsibly, but that does not mean that they must get the unfettered discretion or autonomy. And we should also discuss how granting rights to robots could benefit society, because we haven't seen this, or we haven't looked at this aspect yet. What benefit it will bring, what kind of a societal benefit it will bring as a consequence. Tomorrow when these robots will get the rights, what change it will bring to the society. In society where we live, suppression of someone's right, an individual's right or a human's right, lead to what? Some kind of despair among the masses, among the community. But when it comes to destruction of a robot, or destruction or violation or suppression of their rights, no such despair is felt by the humans, because they are not related, and they are not anyhow in any of the ways having any blood lineage or anything like that, and we all know that blood relation is thicker than any other thing. So, or you may say that societal bonding is thicker than any other thing, but do we really socialize with the robots? Will robots come and participate in the recreation activities with the humans, and will we develop any kind of a emotional attachment with the robots? I doubt that there is going to happen any such thing. So, no such societal benefit can be foreseen by looking at the current scenario. If tomorrow the robots will have humans as their partners, or if they have a family, etc., then that is probably a situation where society might definitely look at granting or conferring some rights to the robots and fostering their accountability, but not now, because it brings no societal benefit at such as far as present scenario is concerned. So, there is lot of counter argument against granting rights to robots, because this counter argument against granting rights to robot to me is more clinching, as I just explained that we have not yet developed that societal or relationship or relational bounding with the robots. So, in this scenario granting them right is of no use and no societal benefit, and implications of treating robots as right bearing entities are various and many, because they are not emotional beings, and they may send the humans to jail if they will have the right, and they may assert in a court of law that they are being destructed or they are being dismantled, and if the law is in favor of them tomorrow, if it could be made and it says that a human shall be sent to a jail, then it will be a complete societal mash up, or you may say societal degradation. So, this is not something very you may say clinching. So, implementing and enforcing their rights shall also be a difficult task, because they do not own any properties, they do not own any, you may say as such any kind of device, equipments like the humans do own things, they do not anything. So, when it comes to court trials, courts usually fasten the accountability of the humans and seek damages at times from them, and conduct raids or recovers things from the humans in case of some crimes committed or some violations done by the humans or some torts committed by the humans. But robots or their properties which they do not have cannot be seized. So, I do not know how, or such laws will be of which shape, how such laws will be articulated tomorrow, but the discourses are going on. When it comes to existing framework, there are some laws and regulations prevailing in certain countries which focuses mostly on data protection and privacy, on ethical AI, on safety regulations of the robots, and on liability and accountability. There is a debate and discussion going on, but as of yet there is no legal system that assign any responsibility to a robot or to a AI. And then on intellectual property, patent or copyright, etc., the AI technologies and innovations are basically owned by the humans who create these technologies or who create these intellectual properties. Well, labor laws and employment impact may be of help, because robots may say that they must not be forced to labor. So, labor laws as on date do not cater or do not cover robots, or they do not confer any right to the robots. And there are autonomous vehicles regulations which are coming into many jurisdictions, etc., and some international agreements and standards are also coming. So, potential rights could be granted, but those rights must not be unfettered, or you may say autonomy, protection from harm and freedom, etc., has to be or must be made the benchmark of those rights, and impact on the society must also be seen, because if there is no impact by granting the robots their right, then it is totally waste of time and energy to think about their rights, or to think about their accountabilities, and there may be lot of drawbacks for various stakeholders, and there may be some benefits to some stakeholders, but majority stakeholders shall be at a drawback. So, future outlook robot rights and role of technology in reshaping ethical framework is speculation only, right. It is just a speculation, it is an ongoing dialogue, and this dialogue has no relevance at this juncture, but definitely the discussions must continue. Some of the judgments I have highlighted here to you to look at. I will not discuss these because none of these judgments categorically cover robots or any things pertaining to their rights, etc. And when it comes to conclusion, I will say that the substantial technological developments in AI, robotics and computer science in recent years has brought us to a vital question of whether highly intelligent robots are entitled to human rights, as well has been frequently discussed among lay people and also in recent years by some academic experts. But based on these developmental trajectory, we do not expect a decision on whether robots should have human rights to become necessary in near future, but this could become a very significant issue in a mid-term or long-term frame, or mid-term or in a long time frame, and their issues must be addressed or should be discussed at this juncture, not addressed but should be discussed at this juncture, right. So, there are some readings which you may look at, which I have jotted down for your reference. Just have a look at these slides because these are lot many, and thank you very much for patient hearing and listening. I look forward to delivering more interesting lectures in this series called Law, Science and Technology. Thank you very much.